Welcome, and thank you for viewing the Research Foundation Form I-9 and E-Verify training. This presentation will cover the basic to not-so-basic aspects of this portion of the new hire process. Throughout this I-9 video series, you will frequently hear the term authorized representative. USCIS defines this term as any individual given permission by a company to operate on its behalf in the completion of the I-9 process. When an authorized representative completes Form I-9, the Research Foundation is still liable for any violations in connection with the form or the verification process. Form I-9 is a federal document and is regulated by the Department of Homeland Security. The purpose of this form is to establish that an employee is eligible to work in the United States. Due to the sensitive and strict nature of this document, it is important we adhere to all of the policies and procedures surrounding it. This training will help the Research Foundation and agents operating on its behalf in the field to comply with federal regulations, create a consistent I-9 process for all RF employees, and minimize I-9 compliance issues. There are three main sections to the I-9 form. Section 1 must be completed by the employee before or on the date of hire. Section 2 must be completed by the authorized representative by the fourth date of employment. Section 3 should be left blank for new hires and completed only when re-verifying a current employee, re-verifying a rehire, or updating a rehire. We'll go over specific examples of those procedures in our rehire video. The I-9 process should begin after an offer of employment is made and accepted by the employee. The employee will then complete Section 1 of Form I-9 no later than the first date of employment. The employee then gives their documents and Form I-9 to an authorized representative for verification and completion of Section 2. The authorized representative must complete Section 2 and an E-Verify query no later than the fourth date of employment. If an employee provides more documents than required, instruct them to choose which documents they wish to present. You must never specify which document or documents the employee needs to present to satisfy I-9 requirements. All documents must be originals. When examining documents, you must accept them if they reasonably appear to be genuine and reasonably appear to relate to the person presenting them. If an employee writes more than one last name in Section 1 and presents a document with only one of those last names, or presents a document in which his or her name is spelled differently than the name written in Section 1, first, ask the employee the reason for the difference in names. If the document appears to be related to the employee, accept the document, and then attach a memo to Form I-9 explaining the discrepancy. Acceptable List A documents, List B documents, and List C documents can be found on the last page of the I-9. A Social Security card with any of the following restrictive wording is not an acceptable List C document: not valid for employment, valid for employment only with INS authorization, valid for employment only with DHS authorization. When beginning the I-9 process, remember that Section 1 must be completed by the employee on or before the first date of employment. An authorized representative must complete Section 2 by the fourth date of employment. Section 3 of the I-9 is reserved only for re-verification and updating I-9s. Things to remember about documents submitted for I-9 purposes. The employee must select on their own which documents they wish to provide. You may never ask for specific documentation. The documents presented must be original. You cannot accept copies of documents for employment eligibility purposes. When examining documents, make sure only that they appear to be genuine and relate to the person presenting them. And remember that restricted Social Security cards are unacceptable for I-9 purposes. Occasionally, the name on the documents the employee submitted does not match the name the employee provided in Section 1. Remember that the name you enter into Section 2 of the I-9 and E-Verify must match the name the employee entered into Section 1 of the I-9, not necessarily the documents provided. When this occurs, you'll simply ask the employee for an explanation of the discrepancy and attach that explanation in a justification letter to the I-9. Thank you for watching this portion of the Research Foundation's training series.